Sport Fishing on the Fly is brought to you by Togen's Fly Shop, Maui Jim Sunglasses, and Hardy Rods and Reels. Today on the bench I want to tie you up the black snake. Now this fly comes in a variety of different colors, but the black snake we found with the black obviously worked the best. So make sure you have these materials ready before you tie the fly. For the hook, we'll use a C68 Mustad 3/0 tarpon hook, some 6/0 black Nano silk for the thread, some small white dumbbell eyes for the eyes, some black saddle hackles for the tail, some olive crystal flash for the tail flash, and some black saddle hackles for the body and head. So to start the fly off, I've got my hook in the vise, and I'm going to tie my black thread and just get a little bit of a base layer ready for where we're going to put the eyes. And we don't want to put the eyes right at the very front. We want to leave a little bit of room there. So I'm just going to tie in some of these slightly weighted dumbbell eyes. It's not enough to flip the fly over, but it does give it a little bit of motion, and that's what I like. And now the fun part is selecting your hackles. Now we're going to tie in the hackles, and what you want is saddle hackle. You want to make sure you use a big saddle, and always the hackles from way back here, way in the back. So I'm going to tie 4 in on one side. So just wrap that in. Tie 4 in there, and I like to go once around just to hold them up, and then go back around. And now we have the 4 tied in. Get rid of your excess, cut off that. And now what we're going to do is wrap over that part of the body, and we're going to tie 4 in on the other side. And again, you'll see it comes, make sure they're all about similar size. I measure them up, get rid of all the fluff. You got all this fluff in there. Get rid of that, and then tie them in on that side. And then you have 4 on each side. Now that we have the tail tied in, I want that tail flash, and I like to use the crystal flash. Now if you cut the crystal flash, you can actually get it to be the whole length, if you use the whole length of it. But since I'm only going to use certain segments, and I want them as long as the tail, I'm just going to cut off, around 8 to 10. Make sure it's close to the same length, just a little bit shorter than the tail. And tie in on one side. And once you've got that tied in well on the one side, cut off your excess. And I'm going to do the same with the other side. Now we have the tail tied in and the crystal flash. You can see that makes just a really long tail. That's a good 5 inches plus long. We're going to take a few more hackles. Now these ones I want about the same length. Again, remove most of the fluffy stuff off the end. I've got about 3 hackles here, anywhere from 3 to 4 is good. Tied in right at the hook bend, right where you finish the tail, by the butts. Tied in by the butts, really wrap it in good. Cut off your excess. And then what I'm going to do is just wrap them forward. I'm going to palmer them forward. So just keep wrapping. And as you wrap, just pull it back. And this is going to form a great, really fluid body and head on the fly. Now that we have the body and the head tied in, I'm going to pull all this back and just form a nice solid head on the fly. So I'm going to take a bunch of wraps right in front of the eyes, build up a nice head on the fly, and get out your whip finisher and whip finish it off, just to finish off the fly. And there it is, the finished tarpon snake. We used different patterns all through Cuba and Belize and other places we fished for tarpon. And we found that sometimes the big Puglisis are good, they're really fat patterns. We found that the smaller tarpon toads are very effective down in Cuba. But in Belize, for some reason, this trip, they all wanted this tarpon snake. It had to be the snake. If you didn't have a snake, you weren't having any luck. So when you're going down for big tarpon and snook, make sure you have some black tarpon snakes.